final countdown T-4. This is part 2 of the vice presidential fact-checking, and so it'll be a continuation of the previous one. So the first one will focus on Kamala Harris, and the first statement is having to do with the tax cuts that Biden and Harris are promoting.
Fact is, Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
He said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well, wait.
I'm speaking.
It'd be important if you said the truth. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. That was tax cuts that gave the average working family $2,000 in a tax break every single year. Senator,
that is
that's the math.
absolutely not true. That
Is he only going to repeal part of the Trump tax cuts?
If you don't mind letting me finish, Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. He has been very clear about that.
There's an example of a statement that is factually true, but it's misleading. So, and it's continually said by Harris and Biden, and they don't openly acknowledge the implications of a tax cut. So it is true that their plan is not going to raise taxes or income tax, essentially, for people earning under $400,000 a year. So that part's true, but where Trump and Pence are attacking that, and many others, is that, okay, that's not it. Well, if you're going to repeal a tax cut, there were some benefits for people earning under $400,000 a year. If you can repeal that tax cut, then that essentially raises taxes. And there's other taxes that get raised indirectly by the Biden and Harris plan. So that's all it is. So true, directly, they're not going to raise taxes for a certain group, but indirectly, there will be an increased tax burden on that group, most likely. So there you go. The next item is the ever popular fracking.
Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that.
To frack or not to frack? That is the question, and it's created a lot of confusion. So it is false to say that that Biden and Harris are opposed to fracking. So their official platform is they support some fracking, and it has to do with what they want to ban is the new oil or fracking for new oil and permitting on public lands and water. So that's what they want to ban, but they're open to others. That's what they say. There's been a lot of flip-flopping on the Biden-Harris opinions on this over the years and through the campaigning season. So Trump and Pence have a legitimate critique on those varying positions, but their current one is that. So it's a partial opposition to fracking. There you go. The next item has to do with loss of manufacturing jobs under the Trump administration.
What ended up happening is because of a so-called trade war with China, America lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs.
Okay, so this is a statement that both Biden and Harris have been saying about the loss of manufacturing jobs under Trump, and really the basics, in my opinion, I don't know economy, but you can't, I don't think it's legitimate critique to talk about pandemic economy versus pre-pandemic. So, but pre-pandemic, the Trump administration, there have been 483,000 jobs gained in that time frame. So, and the 300,000 job loss as a result of the trade war, there certainly weren't that many manufacturing jobs lost. There were some indications, estimates of the number of jobs lost due to the trade war with China, but that was not all manufacturing jobs. So that's that. The next item, we're switching over to Pence now, and then we're starting out with one of the classic Trumpisms, which is the largest tax cut in history. So.
And when it came to the economy, President Trump kept his word and then some. We passed the largest tax cut and reform in American history. We rolled back.
Well, this is a lie. It is not the largest tax cut in American history. Now, it was a large tax cut, but this is an example where Pence, who seems like a very straight-up guy, very straightforward and person, theoretically, he adopts these Trumpisms. And so for someone to say the greatest in U.S. history or whatever, it's a pretty massive statement. So you ought to know that stuff. Trump continually says those types of things, just his mannerism, but Pence is adopting it. It was not the largest tax cut in history. He shouldn't be saying that, but it was a large tax cut. Tax cuts, I guess, as the magnitudes of those are measured by the proportion of GDP and gross domestic product. So this one ranks around 8th, I think, in overall tax cuts in U.S. history, and a couple of ones under the Obama administration were higher, as was under Reagan as well. So large tax cut, not largest in history. All right, so the next one is having to do with Trump's actions on China travel.
Before, there were more than 5 cases in the United States, all people who had returned from China. President Donald Trump did what no other American president had ever done, and that was he suspended all travel from China, the second largest economy in the world.
Okay, so this is not true. I mean, part of that is true, but the way they're spinning it is not accurate. So it's just an ironic statement for Trump and Pence to say that this is unprecedented. No other president has ever banned travel from China. Well, no other president has been in a global pandemic when there has been air travel. Back in 1918, they didn't have air travel, so Wilson did not ban air travel from China. So to have that be unprecedented is a silly statement. But as far as the facts goes, yes, Trump did ban travel from China, and he did it relatively early, not as early as he promotes it, but relatively early when about 40 other countries was doing it. But it was only a partial travel ban, and still about 40,000 people came back and went back and forth. And so the public health experts, many of them say that if it had been done earlier and more completely, and combined with a more complete travel ban with Europe, it would have been more effective. So anyway, this is just a misleading statement, the way Pence is saying. Okay, the next item is to one of their mind-blowing ones about veterans' choice and the Trump-Pence administration taking credit for an Obama accomplishment.
We reformed the VA, and Veterans' Choice is now available for every veteran in America.
Trump and Pence continually take credit for Veterans' Choice. That is an Obama act that was signed in 2014, and Trump and Pence regularly take credit for that. So instituting that Veterans' Choice Act, they did not. They did sign in, or Trump did sign in in 2018 a modification to that expanded things. But essentially, they are now absorbing credit for the entire Veterans' Choice bill, and that is not true. And it was about 150 times supposedly that lie has been said by either one of them over the last few years, and now I guess it's up to 160 times. So they're just continuing to say that. Really strange stuff, very strange. I mean, I just can't imagine if you're a kid and you say, well, I cleaned my room, and somebody says, well, Bobby cleaned it before he moved out 3 months ago, and you still say, well, I cleaned my room. So it's just a very strange thing. Unusual analogy, but there you go. It's the end of the thing. So, and now it's just time for the music.